All right, we're here for the season preview, which will encompass a Manchester City preview as well. I'm with Daniel. How's it going?
I'm all right. I'm good.
Very good.
I feel slightly nauseous actually, but I think because my wife's into supplements and shit, and I think I had them having not had enough lunch.
Yeah,
and so there's a bit of that. But
all right,
I can now hear.
Yeah, please do tell. I heard this story regaled, and yeah.
Well, that's the word jazzer is. I felt like my hearing was going. Like my wife would come in, and she'd be like, "Why is the TV so loud?" It's not loud. Just I'm hearing. Or I've missed the door, stuff like this. So I go and see the EMT guy today, and he sticks a microscope down my lug hole and says, never put cotton buds in your ear. So this is a lesson for us all, because the fibers stay there, and a lot of the time you're just forcing the wax onto the eardrum, as I had done. So he gets this Hoover type affair and hoovers my ears. And now I can hear around corners. I'm fucking Superman.
Wow.
I'm not actually fucking Superman.
That would be impressive too. Although, since he's in a wheelchair, would that be consensual? I'm not sure. Deary me.
Yeah, Edward. I've got a car update.
Oh, yeah. Go on.
Who wants the car? As we move into another
Absolutely
season.
No one, but there, go on.
About 3 weeks ago, the guy comes to pick it up. He says it's not clean. I say it's not perfectly clean, but look, I'll show you where it's jiggered, and you'll be able to see everywhere that the paintwork's fucked. He says, okay. He gets in the car, starts inspecting it, and he says it won't go into fifth gear. It's not like the Blues Brothers. Only Jake Blues and Elwood Blues can drive this fucker. So I say I think it will go into fifth gear. So I get in, I drive it up and down my road. It goes into fifth gear. It's fine. He says I can't take the car away. So I take it to a garage, and they go, he thinks that if you think about where fifth gear is, it's above 3, and he's trying to put it above reverse, but he can't get it there. So I take it to a garage round the corner. They say, yeah, your guy's just an idiot. So I call him, he won't come back. I then get a message saying, well, actually, the guy couldn't pick the car up because it wasn't clean enough, so he couldn't inspect it. So that would be 40 quid. I said it won't, because how would he have started his inspection? We didn't speak about the cleanliness, but he started his inspection, and that's how we know that it wouldn't go into fifth gear. And they go, also, you need to insure it. I'm not doing that, so I'm not doing that either. And then I arrange another guy to come. He comes and he inspects it, and he thinks that it's going to cost me £3,600 and something to sort out the shitness of it all. But he takes it away. So the car is gone. And what we must now discuss is how I'm going to get out of paying. It's not us. I'm not going to have this discussion with you or with the listeners.
All right.
How am I going to get out of paying £3,600? Because part of me is still like, I know these guys did a shit job, but suing them feels a bit like grassing. And then there's another part of me also that thinks, I think that the circumstances in which they have the guy spray painting cars is probably illegal.
Mm.
But
no, they should redo it again. Or you can.
I can't have them redo it because I know that they won't do it properly, because they didn't do it properly. They've had 2 goes at it now, and they'd also done the previous paint job that I've recently discovered also was rubbish. So yeah, and I think they made it worse the second time. So
you're just going to have to do a Chelsea and amortize it over a 7-year contract, and then try that. No, maybe not. Well, at least you haven't murdered any more squirrels, so we'll have the animal rights groups in the main box again. What about squirrel murdering?
Exactly. The car has gone.
Do you have a car now? Did you get a new one, or is that it?
I had the new one quite some time ago. So I've got the new car, but Anyway, I can hear. So there's that. It was funny because we're going to the discotheque on Sunday and to see Kind of Music, who I actually happened upon we happened upon them in Ibiza by last year by thinking we were in a different room. Like my wife wanted to see Skrillex for reasons known best to her, and we were standing there in the room at DC10 thinking this is a fucking good set. And then a little bit later, we discovered that it wasn't the main room. It was a guy called Adam Port that came up, and he's playing at the weekend. And when I was on the way to the hospital, on the way to see the doctor this morning, I was giving my wife a lift some of the way to work, and she put some music on. She's like, "Do you know what? Like, you're going to like be told that you're deaf. You're not allowed to hear loud music anymore. We're going to have to let's turn this the fuck up because this is the last time you're going to be allowed to do this." And actually, it's the reverse. I'm going to hear it better than I've ever heard it.
Well,
before.
maybe all the wax buildup was protecting your eardrums from all the loud music, and now you'll get fucked properly.
I am booking a sitting to get some earplugs.
Yeah. Very good. All right. Well, let's talk about some football at some point.
From the ridiculous.
I know it is. I was just looking at the injury list that United have got at the moment, which is injured or not quite fit enough. Which includes, I'm just going to look at this okay over here. Lindelof, Maguire, Shaw, Wan-Bissaka, Yoro, Malacia, Fish, Martinez, Evans, and Højlund.
I mean, this Luke Shaw, it's just so ridiculous. And this is why, if I could sell him, I probably would. He's never fucking fit.
Yeah, well, he has just come back, but he seems like he's come back not fit enough. Not fit enough, yeah.
Like, what are we actually saying here? Are we saying that he's fat?
No, I don't. Well, no one has said that at all. So who knows?
So what's his
No,
injury?
I don't think we know. They don't even say anymore either. It's just it's completely
jaw strain.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Chewing too much Haribo.
Oh, dearie me. Yeah, well, Lindelof and Maguire are like doubtful. Wan-Bissaka got Yoro we know is out for 3 months. Malacia may never be fit again. Who knows what has actually happened to him. Evans got the injury the other day. Martinez apparently not quite fit, and Fish had to come off. And Højlund we know is about 6 weeks. Which leaves us basically with the same team as last season, I think.
Except no Varane
and no striker. So we'll come on to the Manchester City preview, but we'll probably start that game without a striker of any kind. Let's talk about the season overall, though, because I mean, not much has changed in the actual team, has it? I mean, we've brought in 2 players in Yoro and Xerxes. Xerxes being, as he describes himself, a 9.5. So a player who likes to drop off and good with the ball at his feet. Very different profile of player to Højlund. So that's a good addition. Yoro's basically replacing Varane when he's fit in the autumn, and we've no idea how long that will actually be because metatarsals are metatarsals.
True that.
Yeah. We need to pray to whatever God we had to pray to for when David Beckham was injured in 2002. So didn't one of the papers print out something where
everyone had to touch the picture
yeah,
at the same time. So I think Uri Geller was involved.
Oh God, he was, yeah.
So I always like an ongoing gag I have with my mates is when we were much younger, kind of sort of like 12, 13 and getting into Viz, there was a top tip that said, if ever you're on one of those shows where Uri Geller says, draw something and I'll tell you what it is, draw a picture of a huge, veiny, hairy cock and watch the spooky bastard squirm. And it's like we still quote it. Ada Yomaze to this day. Yeah, I mean,
it just goes to show that men's humour is fixed when they're about 13 and never changes.
What also happened in that era, can we call it historical epoch, is that my mum finds my Viz. I reckon I am about 11 at this point. Starts shouting at me. It's disgusting. It's this. It's that. And she sees that they've got a rude word search, so I've done it. And I'm circling shit that I don't even know what it means at this point. Like I remember I've circled beef curtains in the rude word search. Don't know what it is, but obviously feels unlikely that this would be there without it being something. So my mum's shouting, not about the beef curtains. So I had the Jewish studies provision at my school. Though it was a Jewish school, the Jewish studies wasn't great. So I used to have a private lesson with a Rabbi Schaffer, who looked like Bill from Guess Who, by the way. Anyway, so So my mum's busy like berating me for what a disgrace I am. And she goes, and I'm going to show this to Rabbi Sheffer. And I said, if you do that, I promise that out of the three of us, I will be the least embarrassed person.
Yes. I'm not religious, but we had religious education in my school. And one time, I don't know, she was a nun or something like that. He used to come in and do it. It's really odd and not a church school. And in a mostly South Asian immigrant part of Birmingham. And she then said to us that masturbating hurt. I think.
Oh my gosh, where did she get up to?
I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, I remember that. That's the only piece of education I ever took out of that. Let's get on with some football, shall we? I can't even remember where we were after that wonderful story about Viz. What the hell are United going to do? So we've got a squad that's basically the same, and we can't play any of these new players. The thing that has changed between last season and this is not the manager, surprisingly, because I think we all thought that Ten Hag would get the sack after finishing 8th and all of that, and worst Premier League performance ever. But he's brought in 4 coaches, so new goalkeeping coach, 2 new assistants, and someone else. Can't remember now. So 4 new coaches. And then all the executives have started. So Barada has started, Ashworth has started, Jason Wilcox has started. There's a new head of the medical department who came from Arsenal last season, but a whole bunch of other stuff. They've started some work on Carrington. They painted the players' tunnel. So everything around. Yeah, I know.
Yes!
I know. That's the thing that'll sort them out. It's now bright red with some sort of strip lighting. You know, great stuff.
Amazing.
Great stuff. Yeah. Apparently hadn't been done since the players' tunnel was built, which would have been the early 90s. Awesome. So nothing apart from that has changed, which leads me to the question, will anything actually change this season? Because as people who might caught the tactical pod yesterday, patreon.com/NQAT if you want to catch that. I'm not sure we saw loads different in pre-season either.
I feel like the attacking has been much better, and it feels like they know what they're doing. They know what they're trying to achieve when they're trying to go forward. And that is something, I mean, we'll see what happens once there's a bit more pressure, once the league games start. But I think that, I mean, not having to start with a slow-ass centre-back next to Martinez feels like it could be a problem, because that will affect how we're able to play. Because you can't have, you need someone with recovery pace. And what's it going to be at the weekend? Martinez, probably.
Martinez and Evans, probably. Yeah, if Evans is fit.
Sorry, I meant Evans, yeah.
Yeah.
And then, what, Amas the left back?
It'll have to be. There isn't another one. Since Wan-Bissaka fit. Yeah.
Is he not fit? What happened to
Apparently,
him?
I mean, just Ten Hag said it in the press conference. So yeah, Della at right back. I mean, he hasn't played any of pre-season, so it'll be his first pre-season game. Evans, if he's fit, is question mark. Martinez, assuming he's fit, again, question mark on that one. He has not played a minute of pre-season. Harry Amas, presumably, or Sam Murray, who both were pretty good during pre-season. I guess the bigger macro question I'm asking is there an obvious change? And I do agree with you, actually, about the attacking looking a bit more fluid, and apparently Ruud van Nistelrooy has been working with them. He's very, very detail-oriented. Tom Heaton, and I don't know, he's just brown-nosing, said he's an excellent coach. So, take that for what it is. And presumably, since he was manager of PSV for a while, he knows sort of what he's doing. So there's that. The one thing I did see in pre-season is they defended in basically the same way, high press. When it doesn't work, they drop off to a low block. And that's what caused United to concede like 20 shots in every single game last season. So I don't know if that's different. And even with new defenders, when we get him fit.
Well, that's the thing, is we need a midfielder. We need 2 midfielders. And that was, again, I feel like I say this almost every summer, that the first thing I would do before I'd done anything else would be buy myself the best midfielder I could find.
Yeah.
And we haven't done it again.
Yeah. And the thing about that is that I just why is that? Because we could have spunk the money on Ugarte first if that's the player they wanted. I guess they have a different valuation PSG
But
or anyone else. And it feels like Xerxes and Euro were like opportunities that just came to pass and they couldn't pass them up. But that means that we probably won't get the midfielder we want because we haven't got the money left. Right?
Well, I feel like we did need another striker and another option. And so I'm totally behind the Xerxes acquisition. Like, I think he'll be good for us. And imagine how fuck we'd be if we didn't have him.
No, true. Yeah. I mean, it's just like we're trading off. And I suppose it would have been helpful if we'd actually sold some players this summer.
And that's the thing, shit stinks. And if you look at players that City are selling, like, what did they get for Julian Alvarez?
Oh, God, like 85 million euros or something.
Fucking what?
I know.
That's even more than they got for James Trafford.
Just watch which sponsorships Atletico Madrid get shortly and see if there's anything dodgy in there. Yeah. I mean, James Trafford was incredible. 20 million or 15 plus 5 for a player that had basically never played a minute of first team football and wasn't even that good for Burnley last season. So,
and I think the thing with Ugarte is that if he was brilliant, we would have probably found the money. Yeah. But I think they probably know.
There's too many compromises, yeah.
He's not that good. And if you look at the players that we're supposed to be looking at instead of him, they're all a little bit different.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's necessarily because Ten Hag doesn't know what he wants. I think it's because what he wants, that position is hard. It's hard to find. It's hard to find anyway, but also there aren't that many players around. So I know people took the piss out of Sander Berger, that link, but actually, I mean, I think if you were able to swap him for McT, 1 in, 1 out, then that would make some sense because he gives you the physicality.
Yeah.
But he's a good player.
Yeah.
And he's one of those players who, when Sheffield United bought him, was meant to be really good. And it hasn't quite happened for him. And he spent most of the last few seasons getting relegated. But he's strong in possession. He tries to pass it forward. He can carry the ball. He can win headers. If he has the discipline, then he would be a decent, cheap stopgap. And then I guess you try and unload the suitcase on Adam Wharton next summer.
Well, yeah, quite. And look, clearly the sales are impacting how United are thinking at the moment because although they've got until next June to make sure they're PSR compliant, which has been a large topic of discussion. Well, we'll get to that in a moment. But they clearly feel like they need to, rather than being desperate in the winter window or next summer till July the 1st, rather than having to have a fire sale, they want to make sure they're sort of compliant this season, which means that it's basically 1 in, 1 out. So it's 1 in, 1 out on right back with Mazraoui and Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Yeah, I know. It's fucking ridiculous. But that's because we spent years like buying crap players for way too much money. And it may be 1 in, 1 out on midfield now.
No trainers.
Yeah.
Do you know what? Once they used Manchester, like in the early part, like around sort of millennium time, they were very like, you can't come in if you're not going to wear fucking stupid shoes. Yeah. Like, who wears shoes when you can wear trainers? I have no time for this. And I remember once taking my trainers off and putting them in my then girlfriend's bag and walking into one of those bars on Deansgate Locks, forget which one, in my socks. Because they just looked down, I was wearing black socks. They just looked down, saw my socks, thought, yeah, this moron's wearing school shoes. Fine.
Oh, dear. Yeah, no, it's true. I think Manchester's very different these days, but it was a lot of...
One of the best things about London is that it's not like that.
Yeah. It can feel like, regional towns where you're supposed to be smart to go to a nightclub.
People think you still go to the club in your suit. The first time I ever went out on the town, so I was 14. Yeah, it was just after we won the league for the first time. I was 14, and one of my mates, like my best mate, was also the biggest of us. He lived in Newcastle, and he was the biggest lad out of all of us. So he would be the one who'd buy the ciggies and the booze when we're teenagers, because no one would never occur to anyone who wasn't 18 or 16. And so we went to stay with him, and he was like, "And we'll go out on the piss." And I'm 14. I've like got pissed in like people's front rooms or whatever, but I've never actually been out to a nightclub before, or to a pub or a bar or anything. And I took a suit. Because, like, when I'd see in the football comics that I'd read as a kid, like the Roller Overs and the Football Monthly comic libraries that I would read, like these basically, but about football.
Yeah.
When the footballers went out, they'd wear suits. And they'd get into trouble in a club and they'd all be in like their suits. So I went out in the big market in a petrol blue suit. I was proud of that.
Wow.
But in London, trainers, pretty much shorts as well everywhere.
Very good. Coming back to midfield. Yes, look.
So I wouldn't be totally opposed to Sam de Burger.
Yeah.
The other one who interests me a little bit is Yusuf Fofana, who is the way that he currently plays is not what we're after. He's another number 8, but I wonder if he's got the physical capabilities to do what we'd want him to do as a 6, because he can take the ball on a half turn, he can run with it, and he can cover a lot of distance quickly. Whether he could learn the position, or whether maybe he wouldn't need to learn the position, I don't know. But I feel like one of my main qualities that I want in this player is someone who can cover a lot of distance quickly. And Ugarte is not really that. I don't think Berger is really that either, but Fofana can be that. He just is much more of an attacking player than what we're looking for. But he may have the qualities to become something a little bit different. Don't know. And Berger has played quite far forward, but I think he can also play that position.
Yeah, no, I think they all can. I think they're actually looking at, if you look at the data on all the midfielders we've been linked with, they're not wildly different, even if the eye test looks quite different. So, I mean, Berger's an interesting one because obviously he's played for a bunch of crap clubs and was supposed to be a better player than he's become and made this sideways move to Burnley, which was probably a mistake for him. It does feel like kind of United shopping in Poundland rather than, somewhere of quality a little bit there. The McTee Berger comparison is only because it's 1 in, 1 out financially. I mean, clearly we've moved well beyond the idea that McTominay can play as a number 6. He can only play in that sort of further forward midfield position where he makes those bursts into the box, and it's very, very limited. And United selling an academy product is very beneficial for PSR. So, and they're just looking for the biggest number they can possibly get. And they appear to be, I think overall the transfer strategy has appeared to be, we're only going to pay the price we believe these players are worth, because this is how we got ourselves in trouble in the first place, by paying way over the odds. And so they're in a game of chicken with a whole bunch of players at the moment and a whole bunch of clubs.
And I think that's fair. Like they overpaid for Euro because they think he's worth it. That ultimately I think there's almost with certain players, they're basically whatever you're lucky enough to be able to pay for them is a fair price. Mm-hmm. And they decided that he is going to be worth basically almost whatever they can get him for, because getting him is probably a one-time only thing as well. So, whereas Ugarte, like they're asking top dollar for him, and although we need someone severely in that position, he's not a top player. He's a good player, but he's not a top player. So, I'm behind that one. Like, I'm not saying go and give that money for Ugarte, and I'm also not saying go and give it to De Ligt. Because I don't think that they're quite what the answer is, and therefore we shouldn't overpay for it, because we need the money for other things.
And that's the whole point of the new structure, is that we are making more sensible decisions in the market, and the market dictates so much. I mean, it's not just, well, obviously we're going to look at the coach and whether he's going to get this right or not. But United's biggest failure, I think, of the last 20 years, or at least the last 10, has been the approach to the market and getting it wrong more often than not, much more often than not. Probably 5 bad ones to every good one in terms of the transfer strategy. So they're trying to not do that this summer. It's frustrating because, of course, we'd have liked them all in by now. I think Chelsea has signed like 6 players already, and they're all first teamers. Basically, it's mad that they keep doing it. It's shocking that Sir Jim has not found a hotel down the back of a sofa to sell to himself. Which has been the Chelsea policy. They sold the women's team to themselves, and they sold a hotel to themselves. Awesome. But we clearly don't have that potential. So we're just having to manage our work into the market and it's probably going to take 3 years because you're working out all the crap out of the PSR cycle.
It depends also what you can produce from within.
Yeah.
Internal solutions, as Wenger used to like to say, where it feels like we've got quite a few players. And I keep saying this, all the clubs are going to have this because there's just so many good footballers knocking about now that we'll be able to produce. Like Harry Annas, I think, is someone who will be a United player. I don't know so much about whether Ethan Wheatley will, but Chido or Obi Martin might be. And what's his name? The other midfield, Oyedele also looks like he's got something. But even if it isn't those, there'll be 3 or 4 players who are at the club now who are going to play for United if they want into their 20s. And so you're also, when you're trying to do this, you're also like, I wouldn't buy a left back in that way. It sense Mazraoui is actually quite a smart purchase in that because he's a holding player. He can cover both sides. You don't owe him any loyalty, and you move him along when you've got people, hopefully from within, who will take his spot. And that was always one of the things I think you're thinking is we were able to sign Obi Martin because he was shown a pathway to the first team. And if young players know that if they come to United and they're good, they will get a go.
Yeah.
Then that is important. And one of the ways you do that is by not signing players to go in front of players that you already have who you think are going to be good.
Yes, and coming back to midfield, there, like if Toby Collier had a bit more game time and we were a bit more certain he was good enough, they may not be so desperate for a number 6. I'm not sure he's plug and play right now, honestly, from and he's had so little exposure to the first team. I mean, really only 3 of those games during preseason you could even approximate to being something like first team. So that's not enough. From what I'd seen of him previously, wasn't sure that he'd be like straight into the first team. So he's not quite there yet. Not sure if he ever will be. It's unclear exactly what position he plays as well, because I wouldn't say he's a pure play number 6 either. Although his passing is probably not good enough to play further forward. So anyway, there's some talent coming through, but it's not necessarily right into the first team right now. And, you hope in the next couple of years that either that talent's available for the first team or it can be sold on for a decent amount of money, which is what Chelsea and Manchester City appear to do. And I mean, with incredible effect, 4th revenue stream, isn't it, for both of them? And United haven't been able to do that. And here we are, nickel and diming Scott McTominay to Fulham for between 20 and 25 million because we're desperate enough to need it. So, it is frustrating because we'd like this to have all been done beforehand. And it's just the fact that the transfer window always comes down to these chains of clubs having to sell players before they can buy, and ends up late into the window because of that. And so hopefully we don't write off the first month of the season, but it's going to be a little challenging, I think.
Yeah, but I am looking forward to it. I mean, Paul Scholes says he wasn't excited about the start of the season. He's so miserable. Permanently miserable. I feel like I'm almost always looking forward to the start of the season because the football's not just about whether United are good, but also you can see how the players, some of the players are still improving, and the way that the team are going to play is also going to be a little bit different. I mean, we'll still have to wait and see how it goes until we get another centre back in. And I still don't totally understand the De Ligt signing because he's just doesn't feel to me like the type of player we need. If we assume that Martinez is going to stay fit and is going to play basically almost every game, to me, the person next to him needs to have proper recovery pace. And De Ligt isn't slow, but he's sharp over the first few yards, but he's not someone you want to leave in the channels. And you don't want to leave Martinez in the channels either. So he doesn't feel like the right kind of profile to me, even if the mentality would be good to have around, and he's a good player. But I'm not sure exactly why, because it feels at the moment like, it was him, Branthwaite, or is there anywhere else on the list? And
no, not.
But
I don't think so right now. So I mean, look,
I don't know why that is.
I'm unclear exactly how United are going to defend differently. I mean, because we haven't got that number 6 in. So if Casemiro is starting the season, we know that there's going to be pressure on the back four. It just is. Because players are going
and unless you play Collier, who, and I agree with you, like he's not someone I've watched and been like, he's ready. And he's not someone I've watched and said he's not ready, but he's going to be. He's a maybe.
Yeah, sure.
And probably a closer to a no, what I've seen so far, but who knows?
Yeah. I mean, he does have the physicality. We know that. And the attitude. When he left Jorginho on a heap on the floor, I quite enjoyed that. And then looked at him with utter disdain. Like, what are you doing? And it was good fun. But yeah, it's not obvious that he can fill that gap. We know that Casemiro can't. Unfortunately, the Saudi Pro League has not come to our rescue there and furnished us with many millions to take him off our hands. And unclear whether he'd like to do that either. And so we know that the back four will be under pressure. Now, if Ten Hag's plan is exactly the same out of position as last season, which is the high press until it fails and then drop back into a low block, United are going to give up a lot of shots every single game. And, he made a big thing about trying to justify that last season. And De Ligt is a good box player. So if that's the strategy, De Ligt makes sense. If the strategy is play higher up, of which we've seen no evidence whatsoever so far this summer, then he's probably not the right player. So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think. I think we know. I think we know that Ten Hag doesn't want to play like that. He doesn't want deep box defending.
Well, we think, but it's not based on any evidence at United. So, okay, we talked about the midfield and the defence. Going around the houses a little bit. Up front, I mean, United have got an incredible amount of options at the moment. We'll see if any of them are sold. But at the moment, we've got Rashford, Garnacho, Sancho on the left-hand side. Obviously, Garnacho could play on the right as well. Højlund and Xerxes through the middle, and Anthony and Ahmad on the right-hand side. Have I missed anyone out? It feels like 8 options there.
Did you say Sancho?
Said Sancho, yeah. And Sancho's an option through the middle as well. And then Mount and Bruno, obviously, vying for number 10, and Mount's got some flexibility around where he can play. It's a lot of options of very different profiles, which I guess is a good thing, depending on how we want to play. And at the same time, a lot of question marks over all of them. So, Bruno's going to be Bruno, we know. Mount, a question mark over where he plays and can he be effective. Rashford, can he get back to what his best was 2 seasons ago? Garnacho, can he develop from where he was? Can he score more goals? Would be the question. Xerxes, can he adapt to the Premier League? I agree. I think he looks like a good player. And Højlund, can United play in a system that suits him? Because we definitely didn't do that last season. And then can he develop as a player? And Sancho, can he be bothered? Looked like he could be bothered in pre-season. But then again, it looked like he could be bothered last pre-season too. So, and does he have the physicality to go along with the technical skills? So plenty of question marks over all those options. Would you like to see anyone move on? Would you like anyone else come in?
Yeah, almost all of them.
yeah. Let's sell them all and just refresh them. Yeah.
It's interesting to see what will happen with Ahmad, actually, because he's played well in pre-season, as in he's made a case.
Yeah.
So are we going to assume, I guess, that he starts on the right?
I think, he certainly deserves it more than Anthony, who's been injured and not done anything in pre-season. So he had a couple, I can't remember how much time he played, not much. Whereas Ahmad was probably our best player pre-season. He scored a couple of great goals. He's technically very good. We've always known that about him. It's the physicality that was the problem. Has he filled out a bit? Unclear whether he has. But he seemed a bit more comfortable in the role, didn't he? And a bit more comfortable in that position, and more like he looks like he could really have a season this season. For whatever reason, Ten Hag didn't trust him in the back end of last season. So when he got fit, he had 18 games in a row on the bench before starting a couple at the end of the season. Doesn't feel like that's a player that Ten Hag truly trusts, but we'll find out, won't we?
But also give players developing.
Yeah, sure. And it's taken him 3 years to develop into this role, it seems. All right. Well, that's the season. I had to say I don't know. What? Okay, before we move on to the City, what would be good from this season? What are we saying is acceptable? What keeps Ten Hag in a job? Top 4 and a trophy again. Is that the standard for what's acceptable? Improvement. Yeah, but we improved by default. Can't be worse, can it?
No, but I think so maybe improvement's not the right word. Hope is maybe a better word.
Improve enough that we feel like there's progress.
This is the guy who's taking the team, and the path to success looks like one that can be traversed.
Yeah.
That you can see where it's going to go and how it's going to improve, and the game model. There you go. The game model that he is giving to the profiles of players who are getting minutes. That shit. If it looks like it's working, and last season it didn't, and he saved himself in the cup final because there was no one else, and he won't get away with that again.
No, and he shouldn't. And if by sort of November, December, United are 8th and losing loads of games, like we were last season, there's a ready-made replacement in Ruud van Nistelrooy on the bench, who, by the way, already looked like kind of managerial. He was the guy, not Rennie Hake, who was up on the touchline telling players where to go. He was the vocal one. He looked more managerial than Ten Hag at times.
I mean, that may be a personality.
It is a personality thing. He's got a bit of aura. Yeah.
And it's Ruud van Nistelrooy at United, so he will feel this is my place.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a sense of ownership there.
I don't know whether he actually has it, but he definitely has big dick energy, doesn't he, Ruud? Unlike that, was it pole vaulter? No, it was a high jumper who knocked the bar off with his massive cock during the Olympics.
With Ruud van Nistelrooy?
No, Radamel Falcao's cock, which truly was very large indeed. But anyway, just to, the point being, he has a bit of gravitas of the kind that Ten Hag doesn't have, which is just kind of interesting. So yes, you're right. Like Ten Hag won't survive another season like last season. He shouldn't either. Third season in, people say time. He's been given more time than most managers of elite clubs would get, having had last season. They had their review. There was no one else they liked, so they've left it with this guy for another season until Gareth, the waistcoat Southgate, comes in to save us in December. So,
and they've got him in, and also what they've done is what I think they should have done for Ole is they've surrounded him with other people. I mean, it is a bit weird, like the touchness of it, but they're taking away excuses for failure.
Yeah. Oh no, absolutely. Yeah.
We've picked coaches that you want, who we think are good. Like there's probably so, and it feels like they're also, by putting the structure in, they're saying to him, you just focus on getting the players that you have playing well as a team, and that's it. And if he fails this time, then that will be it, and rightly so. But I do think that we can be good with the players that we have, but just that midfield player, whoever it is, would make a massive difference.
Yeah.
And sort of feels like that would just make everything work so much better.
Let's talk before we move on to the Charity Shield. Let's talk a little bit about the competition for those top 4 spots, because I mean, if we're going to assume that City and Arsenal are the best teams in the league, trademark, and then we've got Aston Villa, who were excellent last season. There'll be a question mark about whether they can repeat that this season, especially with Champions League football. Yeah, wouldn't be a surprise to see them drop off a bit, since I think they probably overperformed. Newcastle, question mark there. They haven't really done any business this summer, which would suggest they're likely to move rapidly forward. Tottenham, have they done anything? I don't think they have. I'm trying to think of whether they.
I mean, Spurs. I was talking to a friend the other day and talking about players that Spurs might sign. I was just like, if you have options, you will not go to Spurs.
Yeah,
because you don't win, and they won't let you leave to go and win.
No,
so
it's very true.
So that's not an enticing package.
And then Chelsea are completely. Like, I have no idea how. Well, we know how they'll play because Maresca's a sort of Pep disciple, isn't he? So they're going to play, possession-based football. They've got a ton of young players, a lot of players who may be good, signed an incredible amount, and they're only making their PSR obligations through selling the women's club and the hotel, as I said. But since the Premier League have allowed that, then they're okay. But what are we going to make of Chelsea? Are they rivals for?
Hang on, they've just swapped Mauricio Pochettino for Enzo Maresca.
Yeah,
and he's got no presence. Like, I doubt the players are why the players going to respect him. Like, he's going to have to show them really quickly.
He is, yeah.
Because if he doesn't, they'll kill him. I'm not. If we finish below Chelsea and Tottenham, then we're going to be finishing like 7th or 8th again. I would say like the teams that are contesting the top 4: City, Arsenal, Liverpool, Newcastle, Villa, us.
Yeah,
are the teams that can be contesting the top 6, and we should be able to get in that top 4. I would say. I'm not sure that we will, just because Liverpool should be significantly worse. But
true. I didn't even mention them. Yeah, completely forgot about them. Yeah,
but they do. Like, assuming Salah is still good, like they have quite a lot of goals in them.
Yeah.
Particularly at home, they're hard to beat.
Yes, it was the what. Although Liverpool beat us comfortably on not particularly many shots, so like the overall result felt like a bit of a freak. I think the one thing you'd note out of that game is that Harry Amas actually did pretty well against Mo Salah, right? So it was like the one performance you're like, okay, yeah, here we got a player here. He wasn't overawed by it. He didn't change his game. He defended well. He attacked well. And you're like, okay, he's young, but we got a player here. All right, let's talk a little bit about the opening fixtures since we're doing through to the end of September. We've got Fulham, Brighton, Liverpool, Southampton, Palace, Tottenham, and then Villa at the beginning of October. I mean, it's not. I guess you'd want like a load of shit for the opening month or so when we haven't got any players fit, and it's not quite that.
This is also the difference between being a good team and being a shit team. When we were good,
we wouldn't care.
I know, but I'd look at the running.
Yeah.
When we're trying to win the league, who are we going to be playing?
Yeah.
And now I look at the first few games, because getting that momentum that we're never able to get, apart from that one year of Mourinho where we thumped a couple of shit teams before we started being shit again. I think that it's that ability to get momentum. And when Arsenal challenged for the title when no one thought they would, they had a lot of easy games at the beginning to get up ahead of steam and to settle into the way that they wanted to play. Talking of Arsenal, I saw a tweet today about Arteta, and it goes, he just wants to win. He doesn't care if he has to dig deep into himself or change staff or change players, but not change himself. It's just about winning and making the biggest improvement possible. Arteta's Arsenal revolution. He's not winning.
Yeah, they haven't won anything. Well,
and then someone replies going, only trophies left for him to be ranked among great coaches. Only trophies.
Only the trophies, yeah. Did he win anything?
How else do we sort this out? He's won the cup.
He won the FA Cup,
He won the COVID Cup against Chelsea.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
But
man, the amount of smoke blown up people's asses about Arteta is quite incredible, yeah. All right.
I don't get... I think he's done a good job. But we can't forget that first year they tossed the title and he was busy having aneurysms on the touchline.
Yeah.
And they had a chance last season as well. And again, they couldn't. And at what point is that... Because if you keep seeing progress, and they can say they're seeing progress, if you keep seeing progress, does he keep keeping his job, not winning stuff? I don't know.
Well, I'd say so with the owners. They haven't routinely fired coaches.
Okay, here's a question. Let's say that Ten Hag is rubbish and we fire him. And at the end of the season, Arteta also gets fired. Arsenal finish 5th and they fire Arteta. Would you take
No. No, he doesn't feel like the profile of coach that would be a United. No.
He's too little, isn't he?
Yeah. He's got stupid hair.
Come on, he's got good hair. I mean, just like it's like we'd all accept that at his age. We would. I mean, he's just fucking lick spittle though. Like, did you see the thing that was on Twitter today where he has some dinner with the players and he pays some pickpockets to come in and like nick their wallets and shit
to teach them some lesson.
In order to teach them to always be ready. Now, at what point on the pitch are you like, light bulb? Sorry, I was switching off at the back post there. But
that pickpocket taught me, yeah.
Big Arteta's got so. I don't know, it just reminded me of that time when he was the captain of Arsenal and he was in charge of all the fines collected from the players. And actually, without asking any of them, he spent some of that money buying Ivan Gazidis a watch.
Absolute brown noser. Disgusting behaviour. Disgusting.
It's genuinely like turns my stomach, that kind of behaviour.
Yeah, no, it's exactly for that. He may well be a good coach, but all the rest of it, I was like, yeah, fuck no at United. As a thought experiment. All right. Let's turn our attention to Manchester City.
But those first games, those first games, to go back to them, they're friendly. For them at home, like you couldn't really ask for. You don't want especially given that you sort of want to stay away from promoted clubs at this point of the season. Really, I mean, obviously that is nice if you give them a gubbing. I think we did it. We do it to Bradford once, but they're coming up. You don't really know much. No one really knows too much about them. They're confident and they're settled. And just funny things happen because there's a particular energy about them. So Fulham at home
it's not a bad start, but it's Brighton away after that. And obviously Brighton have changed their coach and so there's question marks over that. Hertzler from St. Pauli.
Who is another team that play that
exactly the same
cowardly,
way.
That cowardly tippy tapping about.
Tippy tap. Oh, all right, Allardyce. All right.
But I don't actually mean it to take. It's not ticky taka. I don't mean it to take the piss out of that. I mean, it's just like they tap the ball about until people lose the will to live and do what they know the opposition want them to do. But it's not because they've been baited into it. It's because they're fucking pissed off.
Yes, you should be. If they pass it across the 18-yard line more than 4 times, you should be allowed to kneecap the player. That's a new rule I'm suggesting.
Although it's funny that when I sent that Arsenal tweet about Arteta just needing to win something to a friend, he replied was, like Allardyce.
Oh, man. I think Allardyce is done in the game, isn't he? I haven't seen him even as an emergency manager for the last 4 games of the season. I don't think he's even getting that anymore.
Not in substantial Samuel.
All right, to finish my thought, Brighton away, who knows, right? Liverpool at home. Let's hope it's not a real gubbing.
But what?
But I like
they went. Well, why would they be good by then?
No suggestion that they are. It's just they keep smashing us under Ten Hag. But yeah, of course, it could be.
They didn't beat us last season.
They did just beat us now as well.
In a friendly, come on.
I know, they should be rubbish because Arne Slot, however good he is, and we don't know, is not as good as I've even forgotten his name.
But also, it's a different way of playing.
Yeah, different way of playing, yeah.
Inculcating that. And although I was just thinking previously when we were talking about Berger to talk about Liverpool, I think that they bought Robertson and Wijnaldum from relegation.
They did. Clubs. They did. Robertson from Hull. Was it Hull? Yeah.
Yeah, Wijnaldum from
Newcastle. Yeah, they did. I haven't got a problem with buying. And Maddison went from Leicester to Spurs last season, had a good 2/3 of the season, at least.
10 minutes. Yeah. He's such a prick, him.
So it's perfectly...
His opinion of how good he is. Of all the footballers who with the widest distance between how good they think they are and how good they are, he's top 10 in my list.
Fair enough. Southampton away, newly promoted. Palace away, had a very good last part of the season. We'll see with them, but it looks like they might be a team. They've kept most of their players. I mean, obviously the sold Elise, which is a bit.
But hopefully, will Mateta be on holiday then?
Because he's been at the Olympics. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and he's still there. He's scoring goals as well.
And Spurs and Villa to round off the sort of period to the beginning of October. So, I mean, I don't know if it's ideal. There's a few friendlies in there, but also a bunch of games United could lose. And if you don't get
because it's all of them.
It's all of them. Could lose them all. Yeah.
I mean, we won't. What I mean is that we won't lose them all, but they are all losable.
Yeah. City on Saturday. Is this the first game of the season or the last game of pre-season? First question. And is it a trophy?
Okay, so I will answer that by saying I'm not going. And that is because it's a friendly. I haven't been to the Charity Shield for years because they're on Sundays and I work Sundays and I'm not.
Yeah.
I need to get paid. But this one is on Saturday, so I could walk to Wembley, but I'm not because I didn't feel like it was worth using a disappearing on Shabbat credit for a friendly. But my wife was, she was kind of encouraging me to go. And at that point, actually, what happened was I had forgotten to get tickets when my friends were buying. And so I had a friend who has Club Wembley and they were like 170 quid or something. I was like, I'm not giving 170 quid for a friendly. And so, yeah, I'm not going. And the reason I'm not going is because I think it's a friendly. And I would like to go, but just it didn't work. So, yeah, it's not the first game of anything, but it's always nice to beat City. And the last time we beat them was excellent.
Exactly. And and this one, yes, sure, if we lose, we'll write it off. But no one wants to see fucking Pep Guardiola and whoever the captain is. Can't remember now. Rodri, is it? Who is the captain? Lifting the Charity Shield and pretending like this is a trophy when they win. No one wants to see that. So it's a trophy if we win, and it's not if we don't. That's my opinion on it. And no, it doesn't matter. But it does matter.
Amazingly, it's Carl Walker.
Carl Walker, bloody hell.
Able to offer tremendous leadership
in fucking around on your wife. Yeah.
Having lots of children with different people.
Wow. All right. I think that's it for the season preview. Predictions, Daniel, we should do this. Let's see how silly we look by the end of the season. We've forgotten we've actually said this. So I'm going to say United are going to finish 5th and make a cup final of some stripes. One of them.
Okay, I'm going to go 4th and win the Europa League.
Very good. Would that be enough to keep Ten Hag in a job? It would be. Yeah.
It would depend on the manner.
Yeah.
It would depend on the manner of it, and that's I think that is the most important thing, because if we're saying this is a process, like inability to get rid of Wan-Bissaka, say, like everything, all the balls ups from the past 10 years are home to roost, and that it's going to be it's a long job. So if we see that Ten Hag is making progress and we get 4th by playing good football, by looking like a good football team, by doing the right things, and it looking like it's meant to look, then and you win a trophy and get 4th, yeah, I'd be happy with that, even if I had a nagging sense in the back of my mind that when it comes to that real last push, you'll find a way of not making it. But I think 4th in the Europa League.
All right, let's leave it there.